Hey, Rafael, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. You cannot. So let me see what's going on there.
I can hear you. Can you hear
I
me?
can hear, but I
I
can't
can.
hear you.
You can't hear
So
me. Okay, 1 second. Let me
I
try
have to
again.
do something here. Okay. Can you say something?
Hello?
Yep, I can hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Great.
and you can hear me. So that's the most important
I
thing
can
is
hear
that
you.
we can hear each other. Yeah.
Great.
So welcome, Diversity Visa selectees, to our live stream about litigation related to the DV program. We're going to do a quick recap of what the status is for DV 2020, DV 2021, and DV 2022 litigation, and then we can do the Q&A. We can start answering your questions. Rafael, do you want to do one of these, or you want me to go?
You can go ahead, Curtis.
Okay, DV 2020. There's a certified class called the Gomez class. So our three lawsuits, Mohammed, Thongjong, and Kennedy, are consolidated, and almost every one of our plaintiffs in those cases are Gomez class members. We won on summary judgment. DV 2020 visas supposed to be issued beginning April 18th through September 30th. 9,095 visas. Unfortunately, the government has appealed that order, and they've also filed a motion for stay that is pending before Judge Mehta. And if Judge Mehta denies that motion, then they say they'll take it to the circuit on March 4th. So there's still some uncertainty for the DV 2020. Now we'll go to DV 2021. We have two major lawsuits for DV 2021 now, the Good Luck case and the Ray case. The Ray case, visas also supposed to be issued beginning on April 18th through September 30th for certain embassies for DV 2021 selectees. However, the government has appealed that order and also filed a motion for stay. For the Good Luck case, we are not procedurally in the same place as these other lawsuits. We are still briefing the motion for summary judgment. We finished briefing just now, and now we're waiting for Judge Mehta to either set a hearing or issue an order on summary judgment in Good Luck. The government has not filed a motion for stay of the Good Luck case, so it's still moving. DV 2022, we filed two lawsuits so far that are group lawsuits, one for Iraqis and one for Ethiopians and Sudanese. The Iraqi lawsuit has already been successful in getting Iraqi DVs reassigned to other interviews. The case testified that we filed for Ethiopian and Sudanese. One of our 12 families has been set for interview, so we're optimistic that the government is paying attention to the lawsuit. We'll know more in the coming days. We plan to file a group lawsuit for DV 2022 selectees. We will not launch that in February. Of course, February is almost over, I guess. We will share information about that case in March, okay? It's unclear what date we're going to onboard it exactly and what day we're going to file it. We're still trying to get some evidence to make sure that it is the most viable and successful attempt to get visas for DV 2022 selectees. We don't do things prematurely, okay? So did you want to add anything, Rafael, or you want to go to Q&As?
Right, and I think it's important that DV 2022 is patient. You want to strike when the iron is hottest and when you have the most chance of success. Bringing a case early can lead to disaster. So that's why we're being patient and waiting for the right time to bring this lawsuit. But it is going to come. It's crystallizing before our eyes that there's serious problems with DV 2022 processing that's going to necessitate litigation.
I agree. Okay. So I'm going to go over to our little comments section to see what questions we have already. Here's one. Romeo asked, how much visa will get from Nepal? I think he means
how many people will get visas from Nepal?
Right. Right. And both in 2020 and 2021, we found that U.S. Embassy Kathmandu has the capacity and the ability to issue a bunch of visas very quickly, almost more than any other embassy. They're very efficient. However, they haven't turned that on yet. They aren't issuing at that pace yet. So a lawsuit may be necessary to get the kind of numbers of visas that we expect. Agree, Rafael?
I agree. And when Nepal does decide to adjudicate visas, they do have the ability to adjudicate many visas. And I agree with Curtis's view there. So we'll see.
It's a big question from Malvina. They want to stay, and when they are ready to issue visas, or they want to cancel the order not to issue any visa and close DV 2020 forever. Can this happen after we won the first trial? Can you, for all, have done for us? I think this is a DV 2020 selectee. Okay, I think I can add some clarity here in that what the government asks for and what the judges give the government are two different things. The government is a separate entity. So even though the government is still fighting us for the DV 2020, that doesn't mean they're going to win. Judges make decisions. Government doesn't get to make decisions on how a lawsuit turns out. You see one you like?
Curtis, this is my first time using this program, so bear with me one time.
Peter's watching from Liberia. Hi, Peter from Liberia. Very excited to have people from Liberia watching today. Simone says, if I understand, there is nothing new about Goodluck versus Biden. It depends, Simone, whether or not you are talking about substantial updates or procedural updates. We have a procedural update in the Goodluck case almost every day. I've already had one today. The government is asking if they could, asking our permission, and then now they're going to ask the judge's permission if they can file one more filing in summary judgment. We said no, but they're going to ask the judge anyway. So these little procedural updates are not necessarily good or bad, and you don't want to get all excited or upset about them. We need to wait until we win summary judgment to celebrate. And hopefully that'll be by April, but it could be later.
Okay, I got this figured out, Curtis.
Okay.
Okay. Well, what if my documents still haven't been reviewed? Does this mean I have less chance? How will the number of people from all plaintiffs of 2021 be determined? So let's just start with the first part. Does this mean you have less chance? It really depends on how the government decides to process cases. If there's there could be a determination that they need to review documents all over again, or that no review at all is necessary. So it's really hard to determine whether or not a person has a better chance for a DV 2020 or a DV 2021 case if they haven't been determined documentarily qualified until we understand how the government is going to process cases post-deadline. So how will the number of plaintiffs from all plaintiffs of 2021 be determined? The number of plaintiffs are the names on the complaint. So, but I think your question is more to how to determine the number of visas for 2021, and we're still waiting. We've submitted new arguments on that topic to Judge Mehta, and we'll wait to see what he has on his final order. So we'll see what he determines there. And who gets a visa and who doesn't get a visa is going to be largely determined about how the government interprets Judge Mehta's order and how they decide to process cases. Judge Mehta isn't going to pick who gets visas from the group of people that he says deserves the visas. That's going to be determined by individual consular officers in the State Department when they begin processing. So I know I haven't given you firm answers there, but basically a lot of what we need to see needs to be determined, one, by the final order Judge Mehta gives for DV 2021, and two, how, for good luck plaintiffs, and how state decides to process cases once that order is given, and how they're going to begin. And we'll get a tell from the government how they're going to do that from DV 2020 and the DV 2021 GO and RAY plaintiffs who are supposed to be undergoing processing right now.
Great. Ahmad Abu Aratib says, can we contact someone in government? Can you send our voices to the Biden administration to drop the appeal? We have found lobbying this administration is useless. They do not listen to us. They do not listen to immigration advocates. This is basically an anti-immigrant administration as far as I'm concerned. There's no harm in it, but we found it to be futile. Rafael, did you want to?
Right, you can contact your senators and congressmen from abroad. If you guys have family members in the United States, you can contact their offices. There's no harm in trying to do that. If you look up congressmen and senators, they have phone numbers to their office. You can pick up the phone and you can call them.
Right. Peter asked, how can I join the lawsuit for DV 2022? Rafael, you want to?
Sure. If you go to morrisonurena.com, there is a DV 2022 waitlist for information regarding a future case that we may or may not file. We anticipate filing that case, though. So if you go sign up there, leave your email address, some information about you, we'll send you emails when the time comes.
Great. Oh, this is a hard one. Mohammed Ahmed Mawad asked about Cairo. Cairo is an interesting embassy because they have the ability to do many visa adjudications quickly, but we have not seen them exercise this ability modernly. The last few years, they have seemed to be, I don't know if they're working on other things or if they're just extremely understaffed, but we find for Egyptians, litigation is particularly important.
And I've dealt with Cairo directly with Foreign Service Officer Carlos Moreno that was working there for American Citizen Services. And he was very difficult to work with, even for American citizens applying for passports. It's an embassy that just has been very problematic over the last few years, and I quite can't wrap my head around why.
Beskol Sultan asked when to expect summary judgment and good luck. When you're waiting on a judge's order, the verb to use is not expect, but to hope. Okay, because judges get discretion in how long they take to issue their decisions. And for them to issue the best decision, it's usually not fast. It usually takes time. We hope that the decision will come by April, but it could be later.
Right, because, I mean, Judge Mehta issued his summary judgment motion in the Gomez-related matters, Mohammed, Fonjong, and Kennedy, in August of 2021. So it took him some time to write it, but he's written it now, I think, 3 times about the subject, probably more. I think Gomez has about 3 decisions in itself. We have a Filozofovich order as well. And 2 orders in that. So maybe it's the 6th time he's written about that. So he might do it a little bit quicker this time around.
Great. Zach asked about the demand for 3,000 additional visas and good luck. We did make that argument in our summary judgment briefing. And so it's now up to Judge Mehta whether or not he finds that argument compelling. We think that there are very good reasons why he should.
Right, and our law clerk Banan did hard work on that, getting us the numbers, getting us the statistics. We think that's a very, very solid argument that it's not asking Judge Mehta to create new reasoning, but just correcting the statistics on on the old, on his previous reasoning. So we think that has a really, really good chance of success.
Right. Especially if you read the government's rebuttal to it, because they messed up really bad. They chose a number that means something different than what the number is supposed to mean. And so their entire argument is just haywire. It's crazy. Oh, here's a good question. Elias asked, how long does adjustment of status ask for DV selectees? First of all, adjustment of status is only an option for DV selectees who are located within the United States. You cannot adjust status from outside the United States. How long it takes depends upon how close we are to September 30th. In our experience, the USCIS treats DV adjustment of statuses a little differently than regular processing of like I-130s or whatever, because they realize that deadline is there and they realize it's important and they don't want to mess up. So we've never, as long as that thing is filed before summer or at summer even, they are really good at getting the adjudications, the interviews and the adjudications before September 30th. Rafael, would you like to add?
I agree. And if you're within the United States and a DV selectee, you should contact our office to discuss adjustment of statuses, so we can get you the best chance of getting a visa.
Okay, great. We have one of our Tesfaye Blinken plaintiffs. There's only 12. So if the Addis Ababa embassy is open for DV interview, is it possible to assign our interview to Addis? Yes. But it's too early for us to know whether or not that's going to happen, right? So let's be patient. This is a developing situation. Our goal for all of our Tesfaye plaintiffs, like our goal for all of our clients, is to get the visas. We think that for Tesfaye, it means changing the interview location, but if the embassy turns on, no, we'll work to get the interviews at that embassy. Omar asked about Congress's bill, the Build Back Better bill, and is there any hope for DV 2021? I have very little faith in Congress's ability to solve any problem at all right now. Let's put it like that. I was optimistic before, and some decisions were made by Democratic leadership that compromised our leverage to get that work done. Rafael, would you agree?
I would agree. So I have a question here. Hello from Afghanistan. My question is, will the government start DV 2020 interviews in April, or will they again create an excuse for system upgrades if they do not have a success for the stay? I think they will likely, if they're not successful with the stay in the district court and the appeals court, I think they will likely try to push for more time, but it's unlikely that the judge will grant them more time to begin processing after their overtures that they would be able to complete it at that time. They're going to have to come up with some really, really good reasons why they wouldn't be able to start visa processing in April of 2022 after they said they would be able to do it. Yeah, I would imagine that they would try to come up with some more excuses. That's all they've done. But will those excuses be bought by the judge? I don't think so. And I think the judge will order them to begin processing immediately.
I want to clarify, they never promised to issue visas in April. They promised to begin processing in April. And in more recent filings, they're talking about visas would not be issued until May. Okay. So processing to resume in April. That's the best we can hope for. Oh no, I don't know where to hide it. I lost it.
I have a question here. When will Judge Chutkin?
I'm sorry.
When will Judge Chutkin make her decision, and when will judges be chosen on the appeal? When will the appeal for Ray be heard? I anticipate Judge Chutkin will probably make her decision within the next 2 weeks. I don't anticipate this to be a very lengthy order, one that requires much writing. So It probably won't take her much time to issue that decision. I don't know when the panel will be chosen on the appeal. We'll see. Curtis, do you have any insight on when that panel is going to be chosen? Okay. Curtis may be having some difficulties. Curtis, can you hear us?
Yeah, I disappeared for a second. I was playing with technology.
Okay, so the question is, do you have any insight on when the panel will be chosen? I don't really know the answer to the question for the panel on Ray.
Not before the briefing starts. They haven't filed their opening brief yet, so not yet.
Right, and I mean, I think so. It's good. It's great that everybody's paying attention to the panel. I think the panel is going to be a very important about how this all plays out. So we'll see, and everybody should keep their eyes and ears open to that news when it does happen.
Noble says, can we choose to pay for the expenses incurred by the government? Noble, you can't, but it's an interesting question because the government's complaint that, oh no, implementing orders will cost us $500,000 are crazy, okay? If each DV pays $330 for a interview, you're talking about $3 million just for implementing the Gomez order. So the idea that they would lose money doesn't make sense. So don't worry about that. It's a bad argument that they make.
I got a question here. I think it's a DV22 question. Curtis is really knowledgeable about this. What will the procedure be? What is the procedure to reassign embassy for interviews because the DS-260 form was filed by the address of the previous embassy, and who will facilitate all of this administrative issues?
Yes, I like this question a lot. The procedure, here's what the procedure is not. You do not email KCC and say, unlock my DS-260, because if you do that, they unlock the DS-260, you will see that that area is shaded. That area, they will not let you edit that. The only way to get KCC to reassign your interview is to ask them in an email to assign your interview. Say, this was my old embassy. This is the embassy I want to go to. This is my name, my case number, and my date of birth. That's the way, that's the procedure to get KCC to reassign your interview. If your interview's already been scheduled, which is not the situation for most of you, it's a different procedure where you contact the embassy, but you don't contact another embassy to reassign your interview if the file is still at KCC. Oh, here's a procedural question. Stay means stop giving or postponing visa issue. Not exactly, Biomed Mariam. Close. Stay means to stop the implementation of an order in a case or to stop the proceedings in a case. So in this case, it would mean stopping the issuance of visas, but that's not what stay means. Stay means just stopping the proceedings in court or the implementation of an order. It's close.
Big question here. Good afternoon. We are good luck plaintiffs with a low number and documentarily qualified, but unfortunately from Russia. What do you think about our prospects given the nightmare of recent days? I think the prospects of getting a visa issued in Moscow are very low. They've been very, very low for everybody for a long time. So the prospects of getting a visa is really going to be dependent on you going to another embassy and having an adjudication there. Unless by some miracle, the relations between the United States and Russia warm and more consular officers are sent there to adjudicate visas. But I don't see that happening.
Right. I would add that all applications assigned to Moscow have been sent to Warsaw, which was great when it happened. But now if you consider that Belarusians are also reassigned to Warsaw and many Ukrainians from Kiev are going to be, we think will also be assigned to Warsaw. Warsaw has a backlog problem and it's going to be competitive to get interviews there. So if you are a Russian national and you have means to relocate yourself to another country with a U.S. embassy other than Poland, I would explore that. I would recommend you explore that.
Okay, do you recommend to renew the police certificate already now or in several months to be ready for a possible interview in summer? Police certificates are good for 2 years now, so I would make a determination about when you got the first police certificate. If it's already expired, I think you should just go, you can go, if it doesn't cost that much, I would just go and get a new police certificate, but if you have the means. So I would get a new police certificate if it's relatively minor cost for you. That won't hurt. It can only increase your chances if you're called up quickly for an interview.
Be prepared. Biomed says, will the 9,095 visas for DV 2020 be issued just to the winners or to their family also? They'll be issued to family members also. Only 9,095 humans will enter the U.S. on DV 2020 visas. Okay, so that's what that means.
Okay, I have a question here. Please talk about DV 2020 winners in Liberia because the embassy here is very slow. The embassy in Monrovia has actually become a centerpiece in good luck about the standing in the cases, because Liberia has very low rates of COVID, and they haven't made a strong showing that there's some sort of backlog issues or resource constraints, and they're still not processing diversity visas. And the judges pointed to that in Judge Mehta's case, good luck, about that being a great evidence that what the government is doing is unlawful. So I know the embassy hasn't been very friendly to DV 2022 winners, but in future litigation, we'll probably point to what's happening in Liberia again.
Okay. Winner from Afghanistan asked, what about DV 2020? If you are a DV 2020 winner from Afghanistan, you must wait until the Gomez order begins to be implementing, which we hope will be in April unless they get their stay. And then once they are processing for DV 2020 again, you will want to contact KCC and say, please reassign my interview location from Kabul to Islamabad or another U.S. embassy that you can arrive at. There's no reason to do that now. They will ignore you. But once processing resumes, do that. I would not give up hope until all 9,095 DV 2020 visas that were reserved are issued.
I have a question here from Ronald de Costa. Does it seem that the Court of Appeals is on the side of the government? No, it doesn't. We don't even know who the judges are yet. And the judges don't know who they are yet that are going to be paneled to hear this case. So there's no appearance of bias at all because there's nobody assigned to the case.
Right. Habib is watching from Afghanistan and asks if there's any update for DV 2020 winners. If you were a DV 2021 winner waiting for an interview from Kabul or even Islamabad, and you were not a plaintiff in good luck or go, your DV 2021 journey is over. The only DV 2021 selectees in Afghanistan who have a possible path forward are the ones that were plaintiffs in lawsuits.
Everybody seems there seems to be there seems to be a lot of questions about the pace of embassies across the globe processing diversity visas. We know that all the embassies are not processing enough visas for diversity selectees. This is not something that is just for one embassy. It's all the embassies are doing this. So if you're a DV 2022 selectee and you know that you're not, it looks like your embassy is not going to work hard enough to get you a visa interview, it may be worthwhile to go to our website, Morrison Urena, sign up for the wait list so you can start getting information about your options going down the road when the time is right. Because things aren't looking very good for a lot of people.
Agree. Madi asked, do you have any new information about Abu Dhabi? They didn't send any new 2NL since December. I'm glad you asked that. We got a filing in one of our lawsuits where the government discloses that Abu Dhabi and Ankara both have extremely long backlogs. This is primarily because there's many Iranian visa applicants that are assigned to these embassies, and the embassies have just not resumed routine services. And there were all these applicants in the backlog from the Trump Muslim ban and known as Proclamation 9645. And it's just created a mountain of work for those two embassies. So it's a tough embassy to be assigned to.
Right. And what's happening at Abu Dhabi is not something that just occurred this year or with COVID. They've had delays in the processing of visas at that embassy for a long time. And I think it has a lot to do with who and where the visa applicants come from in Abu Dhabi. And so that's something that's just been really, really sad to see.
Yeah. I know they're also a little bit behind because they're doing a lot of the Afghan cases there too. So some Afghans were relocated there. Hello, Prince from Togo. I've never been to Togo. I want to go.
Okay, looking for a question here.
Hokaf asked, what happens to Ethiopians and Sudanese DV 2022 winners? First, if you're a Sudanese or Ethiopian DV 2022 winner, I hope that you sign up on our interest list so you can be notified when we file a group lawsuit for DV 2022 selectees. We had many, many Ethiopian plaintiffs in our DV 2021 lawsuit. Good luck versus Biden. And we look forward to representing many Ethiopian and Sudanese in 2022. It's premature to really know what's going to happen. We know that Khartoum has scheduled 2 DV families. It could be more over the last couple of hours, but 2 DV 2022 families for interviews in April, because one of them was our plaintiff that we represent. And then Addis Ababa, I don't think they've scheduled any DV 2022s, have they? I don't think so. I think we're still waiting to see what happens there.
Right. 1 in Khartoum.
2. Another one.
2 in Khartoum.
Yeah. It's a really low case number, like 104 or something.
Interesting.
The question is 9095 is for sure for 2020. It's for sure unless the decision by Judge Mehta is overturned on appeal by the Circuit Court of Appeals. So that's why the government appealed. They're not happy about that. So. Tursat is from Ethiopia and a DV 2021 selectee and a good luck plaintiff. Good. The question is, do you have a chance to get a visa? Yes. Whether or not you will get that visa, though, you won't know until after we win on summary judgment and judge issues an order on when the government has to issue the reserved visas. It would be premature to give up hope if you are a good luck plaintiff until after all the reserved, until we win on summary judgment and the reserved visas are issued. So be patient. Oh, I like this question. It's procedural. Does the order of canceling the process of scan of documents to KCC affect the winners of DV 2021? We don't know. What the questioner is referring to for DV 2020 and 2021 selectees who may not have known this, the government is doing a new pilot program for DV 2022 where they don't have to submit their documents. This is probably a good idea because the submission of documents was kind of a mess at KCC. They would ask you to resubmit them again. Sometimes they would notify people that their documents were submitted when maybe they weren't. I mean, they were not very organized at all. And so it's good that they are just handing that over to the embassy where the consular officers are competent to review documents. That's who needs to look at the documents anyway. So we don't know if that pilot program will be applied to DV 2020 and 2021 yet. We don't know. You got one? Oh, your volume. You're on mute. Still on mute. Rafael, why are you on mute? Oh, there you go.
Sorry, my button got stuck there for a second. I'm sorry about that. So, okay, so I got, hello, I'm a DV 2022 winner waiting for an interview in Paris, but it seems they are applying tier 4 and they are really slow despite low number of selectees. It does appear that they're still applying a tiered approach despite the State Department's overtures that they have rescinded a tiered approach to adjudicating visas. Curtis has been on a mad hunt for the cable rescinding the tiered approach to see exactly how they rescinded it and what they've applied in its place. He's been successful at making some headway in that, and I think he's going to be successful in getting the cable. Let's hope that it's before the lawsuits for DV 2022 start, but we'll wait and see. And yes, that's a concern of ours, that many of these embassies appear to be applying a tiered prioritization scheme that has been found to be irrational and unlawful by at least one court.
I would add one thing to Justin's question. It appears that he's got a current case number if he's waiting for an interview. If you have a current case number, another option for you, slightly more expensive, is an individual mandamus case just for your application. And we do those. You would need to contact me directly. The initial fee for that is $5,000 to file the lawsuit. And then if the government opposes this, then it might cost a little bit more if you want us to fight back. But we do individual mandamus lawsuits for DV 2022 selectees only whose case numbers are current.
There's several questions here about the Build Back Better and the Mang Amendment and the possibility of congressional action. All of those are at a standstill. It doesn't appear that any of those have the possibility of passing at this time. And I think that's the way everybody should look at it until there's some serious news otherwise, that these bills do not have a chance of passing Congress at this time. It's just, there's not even all of the Democrats are on the board of passing a bill at this time, and we're going to need every single one of them to pass the bill. And it hasn't materialized yet. So until you get news otherwise, you should consider that a dead option.
So Theorno asks, I'm living in the Schengen area, but I'm a citizen of African country. Can I benefit from the Reorder? Actually, there's an African country, South Africa, that can benefit from the Reorder. But to your question, the Reorder was very specific. It was people that were waiting at the embassy for an interview as of when the order was issued, September 27th. So it really comes down to what embassy did you put on your DS-260, or if you had asked for it to be reassigned before September 27th. I get this question a lot. Can I pretend like I was waiting and transfer now? No. That's the Ray visas are just for people that were waiting at those specific embassies indicated in the reorder.
And I agree with that.
I get this question a lot. Oh, sorry. Nada says, if DV 2021 is not a plaintiff, is there a chance for them to receive a visa? Only under one situation, and that is if they were waiting for a visa from one of the embassies that were affected by the reorder. Okay. I think that's 27 embassies, something like that. That's the only court order that non-plaintiffs could get relief from, is the reorder.
Right. So I have a question here. What will be the priority schemes of visa issuance if you win and the visa order is given for DV 2021 reserve visas? Will it be on case number or documentarily qualified? That's yet to be seen, and we quite don't understand exactly how State Department processes visas in a normal year, and we don't really know how they're going to process visas for preserve visas for a previous year. So that's what we have to wait and see. What we do know is that those visas will be preserved. The good luck visas and the go visas will be preserved for those plaintiffs only and not other plaintiffs. And then so you have the reorders that will go to anybody who's been waiting at Schengen. That's all we know at this point about how visa issuance is going to go.
Ahmad asks, if government doesn't get a stay from the appeal court, does they going to seek it from the SCOTUS? They probably will, because the Biden administration is so anti-immigrant that they are going to move heaven and earth to stop immigrants from coming to the U.S. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but they seem really focused. So they will probably ask the Supreme Court, but the Supreme Court could just ignore them. That's very possible.
Right. And I think that's a long shot that it will go all the way to the Supreme Court, but it is quite frankly a possibility. So we'll see what happens. And I believe the DC Circuit goes to Chief Justice Roberts.
Yes.
On the stay. So that will be the judge that makes that decision.
Mohammed asks, my wife is the winner. Can I make the AOS? Mohammed, I would need to know more information. I don't know where your wife is, and I don't know where you are, so I cannot.
Yeah, if you think you have a possibility for adjustment of status, give us a call.
Yeah.
Send us a text message. We'll be happy to help you and explore those options with you directly.
Email, great. It's a long question here. Do you ask the judge to order the government to facilitate embassies in the final order? I mean, the order will not be fair for plaintiffs in some countries. Great question. And the judge makes the decision and what the order does, okay? It's and I understand you understand that because you're saying, do we ask? We have found in Judge Mehta's past orders that he doesn't want to get involved in this country versus that country. He just tells the State Department, issue this many visas. He gives them discretion on who to issue them to. And I don't think that's going to change.
Right. And the judges, and no judge has really weighed in on parsing out who actually gets visas from an order. They say they've commanded the government to undertake a process, and then to make it, and then given them the discretion on who actually receives visas, and constant non-reviewability and other principles of law are judges aren't going to be inclined to weigh in on those decisions.
Any update?
I'm sorry, Curtis. You can go.
Well, actually, I wanted to. I wanted to clarify this too. Gomez answered somebody's question by saying you can benefit from the lawsuit, Ray versus Biden, if you're DV 2021 and the place of interview was one of the Schengen posts. Also, if it was China, South Africa, or Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. So the Reorder applies. It's best to look at the list of embassies. Just found in the order.
Do you think Judge Mehta will increase the number of reserve visas for good luck plaintiffs? I do. I'm pretty confident on that. I think it's going to happen.
Our arguments were great for that.
Yeah, they were great.
If Judge Mehta gives summary judgment in April, I assume you're talking about good luck versus Biden. If summary judgment comes in April, the decision what period of time will embassies call for interviews, that depends on what the order says, okay? I get a lot of questions asking me to interpret what an order means before it is issued. Judge Mehta's order for good luck summary judgment will be specific in how much time the government has to issue the visas, just like it was for DV 2020. Elias asked, how much does adjustment of status cost if I hire a lawyer to go for it? Every lawyer sets their own rate. Our rate varies dependent upon where you're located in the U.S. because we like to attend the interview, and you have to attend an interview where you are adjusting status, right? So we are based primarily in LA, New York, Austin, and Columbus. So if you're in one of those cities, it's great.
Okay, I have a question here. Suppose the stay is denied. Good luck wins summary judgment. Will DV 2020 and 2021 be issued concurrently, or 2020 first, then 2021? I think this is a decision really that Judge Mehta at least will allow the State Department to make their own decision on, with as long as they're abiding by the order to have all those visas issued by the end of the fiscal year. We don't know exactly when he's going to order the good luck visas to be finished by, so that may change. It may not necessarily be the September 30th deadline. He may give them a little bit more time to complete that processing because that processing has yet to be begun. And I think for at least for DV 2021s for Ray, Judge Chutkan is just going to ask them to complete that by September 30th and to do it, not weigh in on who's going first.
Great. Austin says, regarding the lawsuit for DV 2021, do we have any hopes for visa processing to start this April or early March? Depends on which lawsuit you're talking about. If you're talking about good luck, I would say no. I would say the earliest processing would probably start would be summer, and that's optimistic. If you're talking about Ray, yes, as long as they don't get their stay.
Okay, Ronald DaCosta has a question about the Ray hearing and about the stay motions in Ray and Good Luck and Gomez and the Alabama case. And I think Curtis has read into this Alabama case. He knows it quite well. So Ronald asked the previous question, how does the Alabama case apply to what's going on here? Right.
So one of the lines in the Alabama case that the government did not bring up to the judge in their filing was that the judge in Alabama said, finally, the fourth factor, the public interest factor, weighs in favor of a stay for the public health reasons discussed. The fact that this litigation presents questions of extraordinary public moment is a consideration which also mediates in favor of a stay. By the way, I was reading that. I didn't remember it verbatim. So what the judge was saying in Alabama was public health is at stake, and this is an important moment in the history of our country, and lots of things could happen. The issuance of 966 visas is not the same thing as that. And like Rafael said, if they wanted to really implement this order, they could have just issued 3 visas a day. They would have knocked it out.
3 visas a month per embassy.
Oh,
So,
per embassy, right?
Yeah,
For the
per
27
month per embassy.
right?
But yeah, it's 3. It is. I think it's roughly 3 visas a day too. So
Right.
Between the 27 embassies.
The government
really
makes,
nothing.
yeah, they make all these arguments that, oh, we could not possibly admit that many DVs. And, you know, there were days in the U.S. history where 50,000 immigrants came through Ellis Island on one day. Okay. So, I mean, with all the technology and advances that we have in procedures, you would think we would be more efficient, not less.
Could you please brief us on the rationale submitted to the judge to consider increasing good luck reserve visas? It had a lot to do with statistics and improper statistics and the inclusion of certain visas in a category that were not being processed during the pendency of PP 10014 and the suspension of processing. But I encourage you guys, if you guys really want to dig into that and get real nerdy, to go to our website, Morrison Urena, and look at the briefing there, and you can read all about it. It's all up there.
Our arguments are found in the cross motion for summary judgment. I don't think we've talked to anybody from Morocco yet. NOR says, is there a chance DV 2021 winners? Oh, what did I just do?
I'm sorry, I think I did that.
Yeah. Case number 64,000. Case number is not relevant. What's relevant for whether or not there's a chance for you for DV 2021 from Morocco is whether or not you were a plaintiff and good luck or go. And you did not say. HOCAF ask any updates on Addis Ababa to interview DV 2020 owners. We do not have any updates. We hope that they start interviewing soon, but if they don't, as time goes by, Ethiopian DV selectees may want to consider trying to reassign their interviews to U.S. embassies that are open.
And you should also consider signing up for the wait list. At morrisonurena.com to get more information about forthcoming lawsuits.
Hakwat asks, any information about Jordan? How are they that slow? Believe it or not, Doha is Jordan, right? They're about the same rate as other embassies. They're not the slowest, okay? So we don't have any information about that specific embassy, but I would say it's not the slowest. Deepak says, does good luck case solved in fiscal year 2022, or it may be in fiscal year 2023? You've answered your own question. It could be solved in 2022, or it may be in fiscal year 2023. The great thing about going to courts is it's a path to get justice when you don't have it otherwise. But one of the unfortunate things about going to court is you have to play by the court's rules. And judges have discretion over when they issue orders. And parties that lose have the right to appeal the order. So we have to go through that process. It's going to take us however long it takes. And we're going to keep fighting as long as that fight goes on.
I'm going to find a question here.
This is a hard answer I have to give here, but Hassian asked for Afghan DV 2021 winners. There's no, Kabul is closed. If you are a DV 2021 winner from Afghanistan and you were not a plaintiff in good luck or go, your DV 2021 journey is over. And I hate to say that, but it's the truth. I hope that you're able to participate in the DV program, like maybe in October and win in DV 2024, because you've been wronged, and I hope that someday, karma makes it right. But it's over if you were not a good luck plaintiff. Our tech asks, why aren't families invited for interview? What is the reason? I think that you're talking about, I don't know. I'm assuming that you're talking about why are DV singles invited for interviews, but DVs with spouses and children are not invited for interviews, because I see that rumor sometimes. And I don't find that rumor to be true. I see families are invited for interviews.
I have a question here. Can they completely cancel the 9,095 visas that were preserved in the Gomez litigation if they get a stay, and how long would it take to finalize the appeal during stay? The state wouldn't cancel it. Those visas will still be preserved during the pendency of appeal. And how long would it take to finalize the appeal? If we get an appeal stay, I can guarantee you the posture from our firm and our attorneys is going to change, and we're going to be pushing to expedite this as quickly as possible to finalize the appeal, so we can try to get the visas back on track as quickly as possible. So we'll see how the appeals process plays out after the decisions on the motions for stay.
And we have a Kennedy plaintiff, high case number, says that, can I have a chance to get from 9,095 reserved visas? I would say that the case number is only one factor. There's other factors about like the conditions of your embassy when the order is actually being implemented is a big factor. So just wait, be patient, and I know you've been patient a long time, but the reality is until the 9,095 visas are issued, it would be premature to give up hope.
Right. I have a question here. It's for people who are successful and enter the United States on the diversity visas. Someone who's entered the United States for the first time as a DV winner can start work with a social security number, or should they wait for the green card? You are authorized to work as soon as you enter the United States and you get the stamp in your passport. You can start working.
Ronald DaCosta asked, what are the odds for getting a stay from the Court of Appeals? I don't know how we would calculate that. We don't even know who the panel is, who the judges are that would be making that decision at this time. So there's no way to calculate that. It looks like it's 11 o'clock. So that concludes the first Q&A of the day. We have another one in 12 hours from now. I want to thank Hussein and Golnaz on our team for helping moderate some of the questions with answers on Facebook. Thank you, Rafael.
Thank you, Curtis. I'll see you at 10 p.m.
And thank you all the viewers for your great questions. Bye.